Hey everybody, I'm Brittany Brown and I'm here with my partner Andrea Sorgelis. We are the Southern Dream Team with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Georgia Properties, and we are here at beautiful Lake Burton today.
As the summer season rapidly approaches, the most important thing we need to keep in mind and take note of is boat safety. With more and more people on the lakes each year, this is something that everybody in your family should watch and take note on.
Absolutely. And we are blessed to have Mr. Jared Wood here with us today. He is the local game warden with the Georgia DNR and Law Enforcement Division. So he does work Lake Burton, so you will be seeing him around, I'm sure, sometime this summer. So let's start with kind of basic information. Who is legally able to operate a boat or personal watercraft?
So those between the ages of 12 to 15, they can operate a boat. It just cannot be over 16 feet in length, and it cannot have a motor of over 30 horsepower.
Okay.
Those over the age of 15 can operate a PWC or anything else as long as they're accompanied by an adult, and of course 16 and older, as long as they have a valid ID and they've completed the boating safety course, they can operate a vessel.
Got it. So you've got to have a driver's license and to have completed the boater safety course. And what kind of information do you have to have on you as far as proof that you have completed that course?
So you have to have your ID, and you have to have an option where you can print out the boat and education course, just like a hunter safety education.
Got it. And what happens if you get pulled over and you don't have that on you? Is there a way that you guys can look that up, or?
If we have service, we can look you up.
Okay. So you can tell whether or not you have taken that course.
Yes.
And everybody from a certain age forward needs to take that course, correct?
Correct. Everyone born after January 1st of 1998 must have completed that before they operate a vessel.
Parents, if you have kids born after 1998, make sure that all of your children have taken that the boat safety course and have that card with them at all times.
And it's a great reminder for people, even if you're not at that age, older people that don't have to have that requirement. It's always a good thing just to go look back over the basic boater safety.
And this is something you can take online, and we will have that link at the end of this video. So again, make sure that your kids take it, and maybe you take it too before the summer season starts.
So if you are out on the boat, what sort of things do you have to have? What kind of equipment is required on the boat to have at all times?
So for the majority of the vessels that are operated in the state of Georgia, basically what we look for, what you must have, are life jackets enough for everybody on board, a throwable device, a fire extinguisher, up-to-date registration and the registration numbers displayed, and working navigational lights.
Got it. And you talked a little bit about life jackets. So who is required to wear a life jacket while you're on board?
So those under the age of 13 must have a life jacket on as the boat is operating.
And what kind of life jackets are approved for children 13 and under?
So any life jacket that you go and buy that is Coast Guard approved,
okay,
then we recognize that.
So it has to be a Coast Guard approved life jacket, and you need to have everybody 13 and younger needs to have it while on board a boat, but then everybody on board needs to have a life jacket available to them while on the boat as well.
Correct.
Okay.
What about infants? What if you have an infant on board? Are there certain requirements for those?
As long as they have a life jacket, they do make those for
Okay.
children like that. I have actually used one with my kids,
okay,
so they do have that.
And another thing that we've heard some complaints about in the lake community are navigation lights. Explain to us a little bit about what lights you have, when you're supposed to use them.
Anytime after sunset you are on the waters, you must have your navigational lights on, and just the navigational lights. That includes the red and green light on the front of the boat and the white light on the back. That way you can tell which one's the front and which one's the back. And people seem to think that they can use their docking lights as they're driving down the lake, but that is a no-go. and that is used just for docking.
So if you're parked out in the middle of the lake, sometime after sunset, you want to have those lights on.
Correct.
So that people can see you.
And a good way to check that is on the weather app every day. You can actually look up what time the sun is going to set. And so from that point forward, or a good rule of thumb is maybe 20 minutes to a half hour before that time, go ahead and flick on those lights to make sure that you're letting other boaters know where you are on the lake.
And I'm sure you give a little bit of a sway here and there.
We usually give about 10 to 15 minutes after sunset. That way people have time to make sure they're working and have them on.
Something that has happened that we've heard about in the last couple summers is carbon monoxide poisoning from a boat motor. Can you talk about that?
We just encourage parents to watch out for your children if they're swimming or near the engine a lot, breathing in fumes, just to monitor them. And as far as pontoon boats, we encourage children not to swim between the pontoons and a pontoon boat, just because gas can get trapped in there.
And speaking of the back of the boat, I know sometimes you'll see people laying out on the back of a pontoon or on the back of a speedboat. What are the actual rules and regulations for where you can be on the boat while it's being operated?
So if you look at a pontoon boat and you have the gate around the front of the boat, when it's underway, you cannot be past that. And if you are dangerously hanging off towards the engine, that's a no-go as well.
So you will get pulled over and get a ticket if you're hanging off the back of a ski boat while it's going down the lake.
If we look like it's a safety concern, yes.
Let's talk about one of the favorite pastimes for summertime and boating is drinking. And drinking and boating don't mix. So tell us a little bit about the requirements for boating and drinking.
So in the state of Georgia, you can operate a vessel with an open container. That means you can't have a drink in hand. The passengers can be drinking too, of course. We just encourage the operators to drink responsibly and pace yourselves and do not be over the legal limit, or else it is just like driving under the influence. You can be placed under arrest for boating under the influence.
So that's a little bit different than operating a motor vehicle, because you cannot have open containers in a motor vehicle.
Correct.
But you can on a boat as long as you're being responsible and within your legal limits.
Okay, so the legal limit is 0.08. So if you're operating the boat, you need to be under that 0.08. And if you do get pulled over and you do have an open container, what's the protocol for the DNR?
So we want you to be completely honest with us and tell us how much you've consumed. If we feel like you are over the limit and close to it, we will ask you to come aboard our boat, and we will do some field sobriety tests to make sure you're safe to operate. And if not, you'll be placed under arrest and taken to jail.
Okay. Let's talk about basic boating etiquette. Can you review just a true 101 boat safety on directions and right of way and that kind of thing?
So we encourage everyone to, if you're in the middle of a waterway, just use the rules as you would on a highway. Stay on the right side of the waterway. And if you look at your navigational lights up front, there's going to be the green on the right or the starboard side, and the red on the port or left side. So if you see vessels coming from your right, it means that you're good to give way. And on the opposite side, it means you stop and yield for the other boater.
Okay, so a good way to remember that is like a traffic light. So if you have the right side, the starboard side, green light, that means the boat to your right has the right of way and they should go in front of you. But if a boat's coming from your left, you've got a red light, that means they need to yield to you and you have the right to pass them by.
Correct.
Okay.
Talk a little bit about distance. How far are you supposed to say from other watercraft and the shoreline?
So if you're above idle speed, you must be 100 feet from any object, shore, person, any other boat.
And there's a lot of the orange buoys that you'll see in the water now that people have put around their docks to protect their swim areas. Do you have to be 100 feet from those buoys as well?
No, you do not. We encourage people to, whenever you see those buoys, especially if someone an individual is out swimming, you must be 100 feet from that individual.
Okay, got it. And people who are swimming, I know that there are attachments and things that you can wear to mark yourself so that people can see you in the water. Are those required or just strongly suggested?
They're not required. If you're swimming, they're not required.
Okay.
But it is just another thing, being courteous and watching out for your neighbor while you're out here on the boat so that everybody can have a safe day.
What about speed?
There's no speed limits here on the lake, but you must watch out for water markers. They're just like street signs out on the roadways. They tell you what you need to know. For instance, in crowded areas, there's going to be a no wake zone buoys, and so you need to watch out for those. That way you can go at idle speed.
Okay. And everyone's favorite, what about music? All the newer boats come with such sophisticated music systems, stereo systems. What is your advice on music?
DNR does not enforce noise violations, but we encourage you to be courteous to everyone living on the lake and everyone else on the lake. So after 10 o'clock, that would be courteous enough for the people, everybody else.
And safety issues while you're pulling tubers and skiers. I know personally I've seen boats cut through, between the boat and the skier or ride directly behind a tuber or a skier. And if they were to fall off, it could be very tragic. So what are the rules regarding pulling skiers and tubers?
We advise all those that are not pulling skiers, if they observe someone, to give way, no matter what the instance. That way the skier is protected. Of course, you cannot be 100 feet from them. If you're following them down the channel, we encourage you to be enough distance behind them. That way you can react to if they fall off or anything like that.
Okay.
So a boater pulling a skier or a tuber will always have the right of way.
Yes, in most instances, that not per law, but per what we advise people as far as safety, yes.
Got it.
And does the DNR require flags or any sort of, alert system for when a boater does fall into, or excuse me, a skier falls into the water, a skier or a tuber? Is there any system or something you recommend to alert other boaters that you have someone down in the water?
We do not. We just encourage the people that are pulling them to immediately stop their boat and turn. That way we know that someone is in the water.
Okay.
And another thing, as far as safety goes and the requirements for pulling a skier or tuber, do you have to have more than one person in the boat while you're pulling, or how does that work?
So in a PWC or personal watercraft, you must have an individual riding with you on the jet ski, for instance. On a boat, as long as you have a wide-angled mirror on the boat and you can see the skier, then that's perfectly fine.
Got it.
And is there a limit to how many tubers or how many skiers you can have behind a boat?
There is not, no.
Okay.
And while you're out on the lake doing your routes, what kind of things do DNR look for and kind of red flags for you guys? What do you see out there to pull someone over?
Our major concerns are serious safety violations. For instance, kids not having life jackets on, people operating their boats within 100 feet of somebody, above idle speed. Just serious safety concerns is what we mostly look for. And of course, we want to make sure your vessel's registered. That way we know who you are. So any kind of registration violations we look for.
Got it. And if you're out on the lake and you see someone that is not obeying the law, that's driving erratically or crazy, what should they do?
Don't hesitate to call one of us. I'm fine with you calling me at any time. Tell me where the violation is occurring, where it's at, and who possibly it is.
And if you can safely take some videos, pictures, or get any kind of identification from the vessel itself, I'm sure that would be helpful to you guys.
Of course, yes.
And we will put Jared's cell phone up on the screen as well so that everybody has that.
And that's something that's just amazing. This is such a wonderful community, and we have Jared here who is offering to give his personal cell phone to us to call him when we have a boating concern. So let's do everything we can to keep this boat as safe, or this lake as safe as possible, so that we can all have fun, which is the goal here. Well,
we sure appreciate you being here with us today and giving us just a good rundown of basic boat safety and boating etiquette so that we can keep these beautiful waters safe for everyone to enjoy.
Thank you all for tuning in. Again, Brittany and I are the Southern Dream Team with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Georgia Properties. And be sure to follow us on Instagram at Southern Dream Team and also on Facebook, Southern Dream Team. We are going to be doing weekly market recaps, so please make sure to follow us so you can stay in tune with the market.